Hello and welcome back, aviation fans. Today we're back again in the Boeing 777 by PMDG here in the American Airlines livery. And as you can see, we're flying in some pretty rough weather. We're just downwind here in Miami and coming back for the ILS, runway 26 left. Here you get some nice views from the wings and the engines, and as you can see, it's raining. There's some thunderstorms and thick clouds going on. You got a nice view of the cabin simulated by PMDG. And we got another wing view. Not looking too nice out there. Back into the flight deck. You can see I got the weather radar on. It's in automatic mode, tilted up 3 degrees. And now I'm turning the heading selector to fly a base turn, so we can intercept in a final course to runway 26 left in Miami. And I'm reducing the speed. We're around 16 miles from the runway. And you can see we're situated all the way in the red zone of this cloud. In the real life, you wouldn't fly into the red, but it seems like it's just pouring rain. And I'm not sure how reliable this weather radar is here in Microsoft Flight Simulator by PMDG. But what the weather radar usually tells you, it is reflecting water droplets in the atmosphere. And the higher the reflection, basically the highest reflection is red or magenta. So as you can see, those red spots, they reflect a lot of water. And it's good practice not to fly into any red areas and to avoid yellow areas. But you can see we got a small weather cell situated here to our right side on the final course. But since this is a simulation, we're just gonna fly through it. You can also see on the navigation display we got some winds coming almost from the west with 30 knots. That is typical for a thunderstorm. High winds, shifting winds. So it's definitely something you want to monitor. I already selected flaps 1 and put the speed to 210, which is the up speed. I want to give myself here a little bit of a margin above the flap 1 speed due to turbulence. And turbulence, the airspeed can bounce pretty violently. So I wanted a safety margin not to drop below our minimum flap speed for flaps 1, which seems to be right around 190 knots. There we go, the localizer is captured, glide slope is armed, you can see it in white below flight level change. There we go, speed localizer alt. We can also see the glide slope slowly moving in on the primary flight display. Currently 1 dot of deviation. And now it's coming in. The airspeed seems pretty stable at the time, but during final approach, when you descend lower, usually what happens is that the wind will shift or lose half of its wind speed. So it's not uncommon that you see winds of 30 knots right now, and towards the runway it's going to be something like 15 knots. There we go, glide slope is captured. Setting the missed approach altitude to 4,000 feet, and we're descending on the glide with flaps 5, and I'm adjusting the speed to 180 knots, which is 10 knots above the minimum speed for flaps 5. There you can see it looks pretty rough outside, and also on the weather radar a big red spot towards the right side. Not the best weather to fly in, but especially in Miami or Florida in the summer. It is unavoidable, and there's going to be a lot of thunderstorms. So now the wind has dropped to like 24 knots, and I'm going flaps 15 with 160 knots just to be nice and stable. We're about 2,000 feet above threshold elevation, and assuming clear to land, I'm putting all the landing lights on. We're descending on the glide and on the localizer. And if you look on the weather radar on our navigation display, you can see there's basically a spot without weather right in front of the runway, so it should work out. I selected flaps 20, flaps 15 and flaps 20. They share the same speed in most Boeing aircrafts. Nevertheless, with flaps 20 you get more drag than with flaps 15. And I selected flaps 25, our final landing setting, and I just keep the speed higher at 145 because the winds are coming from the west with 24, 25 knots. So basically we have a wind directly on the nose, and what you want to do, you want to take half the wind speed plus gust factors, maximum plus 15. And I just used a wind additive of 10 knots as for right now, because the wind will drop a little bit more when we're coming into the runway. So here we are, fully configured. There you see we're visual to the airport. That definitely helps. 1,000. Now the wind is picking up again, 30 knots. Always monitor. Speed brakes are armed, auto brakes set for 4. We were stable at 1,000 feet. And you can see land free, rollout flare. It's indicated on the primary flight display, meaning that we could fly a auto land if we wanted to. Disconnecting the autopilot. It says flight director, so it is telling me I only use the flight director without the autopilot. And now I'm shifting my focus to the instruments and outside, back and forth. The green bar you see there is our minimums at 209 feet. That is where we should see the runway in case of bad visibility, and we are visual to the runway, so we can continue the approach. You can see the winds are now 20 knots, so 10 knots above our VREF of 135, 145.
Minimums.
Speed is increasing a little bit.
100.
So 50 over the threshold.
50.
40 feet,
40,
slowly going to
30,
the flare, holding
20,
it.
10.
And we touch down into the touchdown zone. Speed brakes up. And I should use reversers, but I have some issues with my PMDG. It's kind of hard to toggle the reversers. So we're just here on auto brakes 4 with the speed brakes. And we're just coming here to a full stop in Miami. So there you go. That's how you land an airplane in some pretty rough weather. I hope you enjoyed this video and follow along for more aviation content. See you around.